Right, welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm going to be reviewing It Chapter 2. Like I always do with these movie reviews, we'll discuss non-spoilers first. You'll get fair warning. Then we'll go into spoilers. Difficult one to really talk about without going into the spoilers. First things first, it feels like a long movie. Now, I really enjoyed this film, but it's not without fault. The pacing's, something's off with the pacing. Now, it's just my opinion, of course. It feels very, very long, and it shouldn't feel that. You know, it really shouldn't feel like such a long movie when other movies of equal length they've not felt anywhere near as long as this. The cast, of which there's two, the older and the younger, which I'll get into. Oh no, we can touch on that. It's not really spoilers. There's a lot of flash forwards and flashbacks in this film, which is not that good. Some of them become very pointless and almost like filler, which is a shame because a lot of it is just replaying things that we had seen. Some of it is obviously filling in the gaps between the books and the book and some bits that were done or potentially should have been added to the first film. But I think it's in part to do with the flashbacks that it stumbles along its way into this film, which really does feel like a long film. Even on top of, trailers and things like that at the movie theatre, I felt like I was sat there for way, way, way too long. But that's not to say it's not a good film, because it is. It's not scary by any stretch of the imagination. I'm sure if you're afraid of clowns, you'll be terrified of this. But it's not a scary film. There's actually some moments of comedy running throughout this, which there was in the first one. But I would say with respect to this one and the cast that we have, we've got Bill Hader, for instance, which was hailed as some, the MVP of the movie. And he was good, but I also want to say James Ransome, who played older Eddie Kasprak, was great. He was fantastic. And Asaya Mustafa, who played an old Mike Hanlon, he was probably one of the best ones out of the lot, actually. Very, very believable. And the casting is inspired because they all look like their younger self. They all act like their younger self. It was really, really good. The casting is great. And they really do make this film watchable. I think if it wasn't for the cast and it wasn't for the moments of levity which are peppered in there, it probably would have been a much, much worse film. I probably would have reviewed this terribly. So, pacing and structure, I did not enjoy. I did not enjoy that at all. The numerous and near constant jump scares became very predictable, and because of that, it's not scary. But like I say, I didn't think the first one was scary. I don't really think a lot of people will find these movies scary, and that's fine. I don't think they're supposed to be massively terrifying. They have their niche, and people do find them scary and stuff. But no, it's not a scary movie. Sound design is great. I watched this on an IMAX screen. I would probably recommend that, just because there's quite a lot going on in the background and things like that. And I feel like on an IMAX screen, you do immerse yourself just that little bit more. I found the IMAX to be worth it, but again, if you don't have one, I wouldn't stress. I wouldn't say it's near essential viewing on an IMAX screen. Sound design is great, like I said, which is paired up with the IMAX screen and the sound which they have in those screenings. Very, very good. Very, very, very good. Soundtrack's awesome. But I will say this, and I said this for the last one. Bill Skarsgård is just so good. Bill Skarsgård is just amazing as Pennywise. It's such a shame that he doesn't have more roles. Bill Skarsgård is fantastic. He makes this film what it is. He makes the Pennywise the Clown a true force of nature. Really, really, really good casting. I think they absolutely lucked out with Bill Skarsgård. He is staggeringly good in the role. Outside of that, really, cinematography and shots and lighting and things like that all are fine. It's what you'd expect It was like the first one. Like I say though, the jump scares do become just a little bit too much. And because it feels super, super long, if they didn't end on a good note, which they did, as in the film wrapped itself up nicely, it would have been a huge disappointment. I don't think it was necessarily planned that way, because obviously didn't plan for the film to feel terribly long. But because they rounded out nicely and it all kind of ties it up in a nice little bow, it's somewhat forgiven. I mean, I tweeted out my first reactions to this, and it was basically, a good film, overlong, bad pacing, but finishes nicely, something along those lines. At Mistage Reviews, follow me. I can recommend it. I wouldn't necessarily say it's jump out and go and see it. It's a good movie. It's probably, it's not essential viewing. It's not something you have to see this opening weekend, but it's a good film. Judging by what else is currently on in theatres, I would say this is probably going to be a pick if you must go to the theatre this weekend. It's a good film. Check it out. I genuinely can recommend it. It's just not something which I would say is essential viewing. If you've seen the first one, obviously you're probably going to want to go out and check this one out. But yeah, if you have seen it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. It's out in the UK now. I was just at a matinee showing, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, we'll get into spoilers, but there's some kind of, if you know the books or anything like that, then it's not really spoilers because you already know it. So here's the spoiler warning. You've been warned. We'll just cut straight to the ending, because a lot of people will be thinking, do they do the ritual of Chud or Chud? In the film, they do say Chud. So, yeah, they do. And does Pennywise become his huge arachnid spider form? Kind of. They don't full force it. So, but I also think that they did it well by doing that. So basically, what you see at the end is Pennywise in a form. It's not necessarily his true form. The lights are what we see as his true form. The dead lights. But we see him become this Pennywise upper, big arachnid base thing from torso down. And, it's kind of an homage to the book, the original films. And I think if they were to go full force giant spider, probably would have lost a lot of people. So I'm glad that they went with what they went. The CGI, there's a lot of CGI in this film. I should have said that in non-spoilers. There's a lot of CG where I feel like some practical could have been used, which is a shame. Which is definitely a shame. But like I said, outside of that, there's not an awful lot to touch on in the spoiler section. Mike Hanlon, I think in the books he's addicted to drugs off the top of my head. That doesn't happen. There is the hate crime scene at the start of the film. That's brutal. Really, really brutal. Almost uncomfortable to watch, to be perfectly honest. There's a lot of uncomfortable moments in this, but that's not necessarily, a good or bad thing. It's just what I'd expect from a horror movie, to be perfectly honest. It's good. It's just not something which I'm absolutely enamored with. I'm glad I saw it. I'm happy I paid to watch it. I don't begrudge it. But I could have took or leave it, basically. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, though, guys. I don't think this will inspire plenty more Stephen King adaptations. I don't think that's what this film will do. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. I think it will do very, very well at the box office, but it's not going to, inspire tens of thousands of bloody Stephen King adaptations, which the first one essentially ushered in. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down below in the comment section. Also, if you stayed this long and you have watched it, what did you think about the Stephen King cameo? I thought it was a bit forced, but I was happy to see him. That's all I can kind of say on it, really. It was a good movie. Bill Hader, Asaya Mustafa, and Ransom were the standouts to me. James McAvoy was fine. Jessica Chastain was fine. Everyone else was fine. But those are the standouts. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you are new here, make sure you hit subscribe. You can stay up to date on the world of pop culture and movie news by hitting the bell notification icon. Right now, underneath every single video should be my Joker-inspired merch, so please do go and check that out. Failing that, there's a link in the description box to my Teespring store, so if you want to support the channel further, you can, or also in the description box is my Patreon. You can check that out as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, I've been Mr. H. Take care.